Welcome students. Welcome to the YouTube channel of Department of Public Health Industry, Chettinad Dental College and Research Institute. Today we shall see the follow-up of odds ratio, that is relative risk. Myself, Dr. H. Cyril Benedict, presenting you the topic on relative risk. As we saw in the last class, strength of association is the quantitative strength between the exposure and the outcome. Either you can call it as risk factor or an exposure. Again, summarizing the thing, analytical study is broadly classified into cross-sectional, case control, and cohort. We saw that odds ratio is the strength of association that is derived from the case control study. So what we are going to see is the particular type of odds, the strength of association that we can get from cohort study. So case control study we have already seen. Today we can see that strength of association. Then the type of strength of association, the metric that can be obtained from a cohort study. So basically I have to tell you the formulation of a cohort study. Cohort study is also called as incidence study. Okay, otherwise called as incidence study or called as prospective study, because cohort study is done in patients or in participants who are just exposed or not exposed to risk factor. In contrast to the case control study where the exposure and the outcome had already occurred, in a cohort study, the outcome is yet to occur. Okay, the outcome is yet to occur. That's why it is called as incidence study. In a cohort design, when you start the study, you have only the participants who are either exposed or not exposed to a particular risk factor. Okay, so in our example, I'll tell you an example which is similar to previous example. We have a group of 50 children who are constantly exposed to sugar sweetened beverages like more sugar added fruit juices, cola, Pepsi, etc., and chocolate drinks. Similarly, we have 50 children who are not exposed to such products. Okay, 50. The first group is 50 children who are exposed. The second group is 50 children who are not exposed. Now we are following them up for some 3 to 4 years. Remember, in a case control study, you do not follow them up because the effect or outcome had already occurred. Whereas in a cohort study, the outcome is yet to occur. So you follow them up to see the incidence of outcome. That is why it is called as incidence study. So after 3 to 4 years, you see that in group 1, around 45 children develop early childhood caries and 5 children do not develop early childhood caries. ECC positive and 5 children are ECC negative. Okay. Similarly, in the 50 children who are not exposed to, the sugar sweetened beverage, you find out that 5 develop early childhood caries and 45 children do not develop early childhood caries. So Similar to a case control study, even in cohort study, we get four numbers. Okay. These are the numbers 45, 5, and 45. So similar to the case control study, we have to fit in the contingency table. Okay, this is the contingency table. I'll just rub it for time being. So the disease is in the column, whereas the exposure is in the rows. So we know that in this study, we started with those who are okay. We started with the children who are exposed to sugar sweetened beverages or not. So we had 50 children who are not exposed to sugar sweetened beverage, and we are having 50 children who are not exposed to ECC. So you have to put the numbers horizontally first, not vertically, not here. Okay, not here. So after following up for 3 to 5 years, we get 45 children who are to get disease and 5 children without disease. That is, we get 45 children developing ECC and 5 children not developing ECC. So 45 children developing ECC and 5 not developing ECC. Similarly, in group 2, 5 children develop ECC and 5 children. So disease, there is 5 develop ECC and 45 do not develop ECC. So similarly, you can write the numbers here as the digits here as A, B, C, D. But the formula for relative risk is different. Okay. The formula for relative risk states that incidence of exposed divided by incidence among not exposed. See, exposed, the word exposed is 50 and the number exposed is again not exposed is 50. So out of 50, how many are have incidence? That comes in numerator. Out of 50 who have been not exposed, how many had ECC? That comes in denominator. So let us calculate the numerator first. Out of 50, 45 developed ECC. Similarly, the denominator. Out of 50, that is out of 50 who were not exposed to ECC, how many develop ECC? The answer is 5. Okay. So for this 45 is A, this 5 is C. Okay. So now we know that let us write the formula here. 45 by 50 whole divided by 5 by 50. Okay, this is incidence of disease among exposed. This is the whole denominator is incidence of disease among not exposed. Now we know since the denominators are same, they can be cancelled. Or we can do this reciprocal. So the answer is 9. So the answer relative risk is 9. The other name for relative risk is risk ratio. Okay, so with this relative risk, we can tell that children who are exposed to sugar sweetened beverages have 9 times higher risk of developing ECC than the children who are not exposed to ECC. Okay, this is the entire way to interpret an relative risk. Children who are exposed to sugar sweetened beverages are 9 times more prone to get ECC than the children who are not exposed to sugar sweetened beverages. So summarizing, relative risk is the formula or the strength of association that we derive from a cohort study. otherwise called as a prospective study. Thank you.